Good afternoon, guys. What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. As you guys saw, it did actually snow. We did get about a foot of snow. Thankfully, though, the weather has warmed up and it's pretty much gone. Which is 2 thumbs up in my opinion, because Greg can do without the snow. But anyway, we've been in the shop. It's actually about 8:30 now, kind of a later start. We've got some stuff done. I want to go over a couple things, kind of where everything is at. I got a couple packages to open, but without further ado, let's go back to what we've been doing, getting this dang engine cleaned up, ready to roll. One more part has been installed, and that is our fleece distribution block. I've pretty much got this thing ready to go. As you can see, we finally have our stainless socket Allen hardware. I actually, McMastercar.com, got all kind. I went a little ham. I went a little ham. We got pretty much every single damn size. A couple different sizes in here. That way we don't have to get held up by hardware anymore. So finally got that. Got this distribution put on the side of the block here. Now, a couple things. Fleece offers a couple different distribution blocks, anywhere from just a fuel filter delete to trying to plumb up some of this hardware. Now this is, I guess you would call the Mac Daddy version. This is really geared a little bit more towards competition use, because this is a regulated return. So say you had a lift pump that was just supplying constant, pressure. This is what's actually going to tone that down to your 15 to 17 PSI, whatever that may be. There's actually this little port up top here, has a spring inside here with a poppet valve that relieves pressure, and that's what kind of sets your pressure. Now, our air dog that we're using already is regulated. So what we have done, we've modified this slightly so this poppet valve in here just never comes open. So it's basically completely separated from feed and return, and it's basically just a normal distribution block without that spring opening and closing. Now, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. But we do have the lines pretty much ready to go. I did this a little bit earlier, kind of was finicky taking my time, but got the feeds and returns. So basically, again, this block is separated. The feed coming from our lift pump comes in here, kind of runs down here, and then our 2 pump lines, our feed lines, come off of that, feed our pumps over here. We have those high flow push lock fittings on both pumps, and then the returns come down here. Got one pump here, the other pump here, and then we have our return line from our fuel rail, and then our return line from the back of the cylinder head. So that is your 4 returns. You'd obviously have less if you're only running 1 CP3 pump, which, again, if you're only running 1 CP3 pump, which what a lot of guys are doing, you would need the version down from this, I believe. But we also got our in-cab fuel pressure gauge sensor in here, and then I kind of left this one on here. This you could pretty much just plug off, but I figured why not? They gave you the gauge. It's a nice gauge, so in case you want to peek your head in here while the engine's running and you're not inside the cab, you have another fuel pressure gauge here, so hopefully that serves us well. And then this will be our feed from our air dog back here. So fuel lines are pretty much plumbed up, ready to go. Like I said, I still want to get this powder coated because some people are actually still without power around here, and the guy who is going to be helping us out doing all the powder coating surprisingly still does not have power. So slight delay on that, but no big deal. We will get it done. At this point, I actually just talked to the guys at Freedom. We're waiting on a couple other things. That is en route, overnighted, on its way now. They were waiting on one last thing, so we should have that. Either way, this engine is going in within the next day or two. Within the next day or two, mark my words, this engine is going to be back between the frame rail. Over yonder in the far corner over here, we have been not making a mess, draining all of our old fuel out. Everything's staying nice and tidy, but we drained all the fuel out of the fuel tank to change out our GNR fuel sump to our Beans fuel sump. We were using the GNR as a dual feed unit because we were running 2 air dogs last year. Switching back to 1 single air dog this year and going back to a Beans sump with a single fed unit. That's on our way from GAROFALO Enterprises. He told me that they just came in today. He was waiting on those. So those came in. We'll get this other air dog out of the way, clean up some of the fuel lines, and actually I forgot that we were running two separate harnesses, so I'm going to take out one of those harnesses as well, and then once the sump is in, we can pretty much Actually, I forgot. I'm going to take both of those off. We're going to clean up the bed here and get some of this cleaned up and get that re-undercoated before we go ahead and put on our hitch, our B&W gooseneck hitch. So while we're on the topic of this second air dog and what we are going to be doing with it, we are taking it off the truck, but it is not going to be for sale. A couple of you guys have been asking about that, if we're going to be getting rid of it, if it's for sale. We're going to be hanging on to it for a project in the future, but the good news is I am hoping and planning on giving away multiple air dogs for the Wrenchworks spring launch giveaway. So if you guys need a lift pump, want an air dog, make sure you guys are stay tuned. The Wrenchworks spring launch is going to be right around the corner, and we're going to be giving away multiple air dogs for whatever you drive, whether it's Dodge, Ford, Chevy, whatever it may be, the exact kit for your truck. So stay tuned for that to get entered in that giveaway. Down over here, we do have a box that I've already opened up, but I did not look inside, I promise, but I kind of already know what it is. But we have a box from Banks Power. What the heck? Banks? What could we be using from Banks? So we're going to check that out here in a little bit. First, I think what I want to do, just so I can get this knocked out of the way, I want to fix our wiring. We're going to fix that, call that good, and then we'll get to opening a box, and I think we have another box that we're going to open up tonight as well. All right, so you probably couldn't see a whole lot of that. I might have just skipped to the end here, but got the harness all repaired up, got it double, triple heat shrink on this side and this side for the cam and the crank sensor. Ended up just chopping off the rest of this and capping the end of these lines and then electrical taping them together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these back together, get them all electrical taped up. Harness repair officially done. Got it back up in some wire loom. Should be good to go. Not the prettiest I've ever done, but it will get the job done. And I pushed the harness out of the way. That way we can access our engine mounts in the frame. Ready to stick that bad boy back in. So let's get to opening this box. This is from our friends from Banks Power. All right. We have some hats. I believe that is probably a shop banner. And let's see what else we got in here. Put this down here. All right, so this is, we're actually going to go into this at another time. I believe this is a gauge, but it's more than a gauge. It is a gauge that reads a whole lot of information for your, I believe it is for the newer trucks, maybe 07 and up, something like that. We're going to get into that at a different date. This is the box that we do care about. Oh, I believe that gasket might give it away. It is an engine part for the new engine, part that we are missing somewhat in this general area. As you guys know, last year we were running a side draft with a 5.9 intake plate. This is a 6.7, full 6.7 engine, so we need a 6.7 intake manifold, which we have here from Banks. Holy smokes. Also comes with a new injection line. Oh, and the appropriate hardware. Let's go somewhat loosely install this on the truck, and I'll let you know why I kind of went with this one over others. Alrighty, there she is. We got one bolt in it just mocked up on the engine. That way you can kind of see before it gets sent off the powder coat what it looks like, how massive it is, and why we really chose this intake manifold over others. So just by looking at it, you can see how crazy big this thing is. This thing is huge. So what they do, and what's kind of cool about this kit as opposed to others, is your factory #1 injector line kind of comes right across the path here from the factory. The factory intake manifold is super restrictive. Other companies that have built intake manifolds over the years have just designed around that fuel injector line. Now, what the Banks company did, and they did an awesome job, is, you know, they came up with another fuel line that kind of allows them to keep this opening pretty much wide open, as opposed to design around a factory item that wasn't designed with performance in mind. So this fuel injector line, kind of just like the fleece guys, you know, up to OE quality specs, and that allows them to really redesign how they want it to. So Mr. Banks himself has done quite the testing process on this manifold versus others, and just has come up with that this thing outflows anything on the market. So pretty cool video. I'm gonna leave that down below for you guys. If you guys want a cool video to watch after this one, go check out that one and see why they came up with the design on this one and why it kind of outflows others. Pretty cool, pretty awesome. I'm pretty pumped to run this thing. It should work out very, very well, especially with the 3.5-inch outlet. All the rest of my intercooler piping is already 3.5. The intake outlets on my, the outlets on my intercooler are already 3.5. So it should be a pretty seamless 3.5-inch system, and it looks good. It's designed well with the fleece kit, and it just looks massive. It looks cool. It looks beefy. It looks like it is going to get the job done. Some other cool features, you know, they have the meth spray bars that kind of shoot inward as opposed to straight down. They got all the sensor bungs and everything, all the kind of partying you want to do on the backside here for boost or nitrous, whatever you kind of want. So cool. They relocate your intake sensor over here. So overall, just a really well-designed piece. It's going to look great with some powder coat on it. And that's that. So, all right, so here's just another look on the inside of this thing, how massive it is. Another cool feature that I do like about this one as well is a lot of times what'll happen is you won't be able to get every bolt in this thing. A lot of other companies get rid of this middle bolt on the backside. Now, what Banks has done is they've given you this hole that kind of lines up with the one down there, so you can actually sneak your bolt down in through the intake manifold, get that bolt in there, and then plug this top port off. Now, that's kind of important when you're running pretty high boost. If you have a 6-bolt flange and you're missing one down here, gives the gasket and the seal a pretty good opportunity to slip out from underneath there. So a lot of guys will put, you know, kind of pilot, what's the word I'm looking for here? Little centering pins. They'll leave a nub kind of hanging down, which will at least center it and get it kind of squished down, but still the clamping force is not there. So it's nice that this one has all 6 bolts, just in case you want to, you know, get a little crazy. But another great product. I'm pretty pumped to put this on the truck, I'm not gonna lie. This thing should work really well. All right, so we are gonna open up one more package. This is from Jeremy in Minnesota, I believe. I left my knife over there. Oh man, what is this? This looks like a gauges. All right. And a sticker. And we got a note, but this is definitely maybe a 2nd gen pillar? Oh, jeez, there's another one in here? Oh, look at this. Oh, we got some baby clothes. I have to poop. I have to poop. Nice. Let's read our note here. Thank you very much. Greg, Allie, and Baby. Greg, I'm a huge fan of the channel and have been around since probably 2,000 subscribers. That's awesome. But YouTube kept unsubscribing to me, so I am more of a liker than a subscriber now. I love the content and I am living vicariously through you. Keep up the great work and may your future be bright. Best of luck with your little one. Hope for health, happiness, all 3 of you. I have 2. From Jeremy. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much, Jeremy. It's kind of a long note. I read it all. Basically, these gauges were out of a 2nd gen truck. One of them, he doesn't know if it works, but we can certainly try and test it. One is a fuel pressure gauge, and the other one is also fuel pressure. I think they're both fuel pressure. One was kind of sent as a replacement. and this is from a 2nd gen, so awesome. Thank you very much, Jeremy and family, for the baby clothes and the gauges. We will certainly put them to use. Even if I don't use them in a truck, I usually always like to keep spares like for test gauges, so I can make sure things are working before we go ahead and like just to fire up a truck, something like that. So thank you very much, Jeremy. I appreciate the support. Appreciate all you guys. Appreciate the hell out of all you guys. Alrighty, so even with the shorter day, I do still feel like we got a couple big things checked off the list. We are continuing to move forward, and like I've said before in the past, progress is progress. Even if it's a small amount each day, it will help you get further and further. So it may not seem like much on this video, but I'm pumped. We're getting there. We are definitely getting there, slowly but surely. We are gonna get this engine back in this truck. I know I keep saying that, but it's gonna happen. You guys gotta stay positive. It's a challenge for me, honestly, to stay positive when it seems like you're really slowly getting there, but it'll happen. I'm not worried about it. I'm excited to get this thing back. Super excited to get this thing back. So that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button before you leave. Subscribe if you haven't already. See you tomorrow.